Hello guys, welcome back. So let's start with a new topic, that is muscles of forearm. So now these muscles of the forearm are also divided into anterior and posterior compartment. Okay, so first we'll do the anterior compartment. Like an arm, when we did it in the previous video, the anterior compartment will also be called as flexor compartment. Okay, but remember, now we are studying about whom? We are studying about the forearm. So of forearm. Understood? This anterior compartment, it comprises of superficial muscles and deep muscles. Now, how many superficials are there? There are 5 superficials. How many deep? There are 3 deep muscles. So how many in total? 8 muscles. Okay. Now you have to know all muscles originate from medial epicondyle. I hope everybody know now what is medial epicondyle. It was in the humerus, right, on your medial side. And which nerve was there? Ulnar nerve on its posterior side. Okay. Remember that, please, because it comes in the questions. Okay. Let's first do with the superficial. You have to remember one thing, that we are doing flexor, right? So muscle will be also called as flexor. Now it is called as flexor digitorum superficialis. And in the deep it will come flexor digitorum profundus. Superficialis means superficial, profundus means deep. Profundus means deep. Okay. Remember this muscle. Digitorum is basically fingers going from your elbow joint to your fingers. Okay. Digits means fingers. Okay. Now, you can remember it by a mnemonic, the superficial muscle, that is PFPF. So, starting with the first P, that is palmaris longus. What it is? Palmaris longus. Starting with the second F, it is flexor carpi radialis. Then again P comes pronator teres. Then again F comes, again flexor carpi radialis is done. Then what is the another one? Ulnaris. Okay. So it's very easy. Palmaris longus means what? It's a long muscle going into your palm. It's a palm muscle, very long, which will travel from your elbow to your palm. Okay. So palmaris longus. Flexor carpi radialis. Flexor means flexor. Carpi means what? Carpal bones. Radialis means it will pass through your radius. Pronator teres. Pronator teres means what? This will help in pronating your hand. So in the very first video, explained you what is pronation and supination, right? So it will help you pronate your hand. That is, from your palm side, it will help you rotate your hand to the back side. Okay. Pronator is like a rotator. Okay, it will help you rotate your hand. And flexor carpi ulnaris will be, carpi means carpal, ulnaris will be basically towards the ulna. Okay. So if you want, I can draw a rough diagram for you. Suppose this is your hand. Okay. Draw here the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So let's draw the muscles. First, let's draw the pronator teres. So you have it like this. Okay, it will help you rotate your hand. Okay. Then we have flexor carpi radialis. So remember, this is your ulna towards the side and radius towards the side. Ulna is towards the medial side, right? So let's draw first the radius. Flexor carpi radialis. Okay, towards the radial side. Then we have studied this palmaris longus. So this palmaris longus will go into your palm. Okay. Then let's draw the flexor carpi ulnaris. Flexor carpi ulnaris will go towards where? It will go towards the ulna. Okay. Understood? So I'm naming them. Green, I'll draw it like this. Green is for pronator teres. Okay. Blue is for flexor carpi radialis. Okay. Then white was for, it was going down, very down, right? So it is palmaris longus. Then this color was for flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay, so remember this. Now, let's look at the deep muscles. For the deep muscles, it's very easy. We have already completed one. Now, let's look at the another one. So, starting with the flexor digitorum profundus done. Now, let's write one more flexor. Flexor pollicis longus. Pollus means thumb, remember. So, this goes into your thumb, where it will go into the thumb. So, now the last muscle will be pronator quadratus. Pronator quadratus. Okay. So one we had pronator teres, which was in the superficial. Then we have pronator quadratus, which is in the deep. For this, you can remember the mnemonic. Those who play PUBG might know this. FPP, right? First person perspective. So remember F, P for pollicis, P for pronator. So you can remember it like this if you want by this mnemonic. Okay. There are some important points you must know about few muscles. First, let's do that. This flexor digitorum superficialis will go and give the innervation to the proximal and your intermediate phalanx. Intermediate phalanges. So everybody knows what phalanges are, right? What are they? These are the divisions of your fingers. Each finger has 3 divisions, right? Only the thumb has 2 phalanges, the distal phalange and the proximal phalange. It doesn't have any intermediate phalange. Okay, so proximal intermediate phalanges innervated by flexor digitorum superficialis. Then deep, D for deep, D for distal. So it will innervate which phalange? Only the distal phalange. Now you have to remember this because they ask the question on the basis of which muscle will go till where. Okay, so you have to remember that flexor digitorum superficialis is going till the proximal and intermediate phalanx, and flexor digitorum profundus will go till the distal phalanx. You can see this is flexor digitorum superficialis. This is FDS coming from the epicondyle, going till where? It is going till your intermediate phalanx. You can see, right? Your intermediate phalanx. You can see the thumb is not innervated. Why is that so? I'll tell you in a few minutes. Okay. Same. This is FDS. What it is? Sorry, it is FDP, flexor digitorum profundus, going, and it is going till where? It is going till your distal. It will go and supply only the distal phalange. Here again the thumb is not innervated because thumb. In the next video we will be doing about this palm muscles. Then there is one muscle which you have to know. There we will learn flexor pollicis brevis. That flexor pollicis brevis supplies the proximal phalanx. Flexor pollicis brevis. Brevis means short. Okay, brevis means short. It is E. And you have flexor pollicis longus. That will supply your distal phalanx. Flexor pollicis brevis goes to your proximal. Intermediate is not present in the thumb, right? Phalange, distal phalange. Okay, I hope now this is clear. This FDP, there is one more thing that you should know about this FDP, flexor digitorum profundus. This muscle is having two parts. Okay, a medial part and a lateral end. We call it that part as end. Okay, medial end and lateral end. Okay, so this medial end is towards medial side which bone? You have ulnar bone. So here the nerve supply is by ulnar nerve. It's by ulnar nerve, and lateral end is towards your radial side. So the nerve is radial nerve. So what type of muscle it becomes? One muscle, more than one nerve supply. It is therefore called as hybrid muscle. Okay, hybrid muscle or composite muscle. Okay, we have done one more hybrid muscle, that was brachialis, right? So that was also a hybrid muscle. So let's know about the nerve supply for the anterior compartment. Okay, so you have to remember 6.5 muscle is by median nerve. Now 6.5, that means how much is remaining? 1.5 muscle. That 1.5 muscle is by ulnar nerve. So let's know what are those 1.5 muscles. So one muscle is flexor carpi ulnaris. It's towards the ulnar, right? So it is supplied by ulnar nerve. Okay, and then one we have already learned just a few minutes ago, flexor digitorum profundus, right? It is also known as FDP in short. And only which part? Only the medial end, because lateral was supplied by radial nerve. Okay, so that's why called 1.5. So 6.5 muscle is by median nerve, 1.5 muscle is by ulnar nerve. Okay, you have to remember it. And you have to remember that as all these muscles originate from the medial epicondyle, so you have to remember any injury to medial epicondyle, which is also called as medial epicondylitis. If such a condition comes, then the patient's elbow is called as golfer's elbow. What do we call it as? Golfer's elbow. Is known as golfer's elbow. Okay. So this was all about the anterior compartment. Now let's move on to the posterior compartment of forearm. Now this compartment is also known as extensor compartment. You have to remember. Okay. What do you have to remember? That it also comes under, it is also known as extensor compartment. You have to remember that there are 12 muscles total. How many muscles? 12 muscles. So remember the mnemonic BEAST, B-E-A-A-S-T. You have to remember, okay? Write 2 A's. B stands for brachioradialis. E stands for extensors, which are 8. We are not knowing about this 8 extensors muscle, okay? It's not that important. A stands for anconeus. Another A stands for abductor pollicis brevis. Longus. Okay, and S stands for supinators. Anterior was having pronators, posterior is having supinators. And T stands for triceps. Now this triceps was in arm. Remember, it was in the extensor compartment of the arm. Now why I have written this? If anybody asks you tell me the muscles about which are innervated by the radial nerve. So it will be beast, you have to remember. Innervated by only one nerve, that is radial nerve. You have to remember this, okay? That's why I've written this triceps also over here, because it is also innervated by the radial nerve. But remember that these are the actual muscles, okay? Fine. And write down their origin. Or they all originate from lateral epicondyle. Okay? Now then, if there's any injury to lateral epicondyle is called as tennis elbow. What it is called as? Tennis elbow. Okay? So I hope this is clear.